Spawning in the upper right in the blue for Alpha X. The young Protoss Maestro, he is ZOUN. And his opponent in the bottom left, in the red, representing Team NV. The great player of old, the man from Busan, DRG. So what do we see different in this series? DRG did seem to have ZOUN's number in 2 of those games. Very clearly, he won 2 games to 1. But even the game he lost, he didn't look terrible. It was just a matter of ZOUN surviving the carriers, and he had enough carriers, and carriers. I feel like it's the, what's that one ad? For something. I don't know what the ad's for. But, you know, they're in a game show. And instead of saying anything, they just say free. You know, free all the time. But I feel like that's what you got to talk about when we talk about these Stargate styles. It's just carriers, and plus 2 carriers are very powerful. But realistically, actually, as good as plus 2 carriers are, and Vrati is probably going to hang me for the sacrilege, the true strength of that build is the Storm, right? Storm makes Corruptors not worthwhile. Storm makes Hydra's not worthwhile, makes Banely's not worthwhile. It does a very good job of nullifying pretty much everything that the Zerg has to offer. And honestly, carriers, they do a lot of DPS, sure, and they are big meat sinks, sure. But, well, at the end of the day, they're not really the true strength of that army, unless you kind of, once the storms whittle everything down, then the carriers, yeah, kill it all. Pastor, I believe you mean Turbo Carriers. Very clearly, that's the company that we're talking about here. Or Chronotax? Chronotax. Serving your Protoss needs since time immemorial, making sure you pay your taxes on time. Now again, this will be a Stargate opener from ZOUN. No surprises there. This is Juggernaut. Juggernaut is one of the top 3 maps for playing this style, so not surprised that that is what we are in fact seeing. But really, what we're looking at here is whether we do see ZOUN go for a go for that second Stargate early, whether he does get a Robo before the Stargate, what time he takes his 3rd base, all of these things, because there are ways. And there are paths out of this that are not double Stargate, right? You can go for a Glaive Adept timing, and hope your opponent has decided to skip Roaches because you're, you know, going greedy. But that being said, though, I don't like that as much as I used to. It used to be a really good counter meta play. Yeah, honestly, Tempests, not all that great. With the different changes they've made. I mean, maybe if it's a Broodlord timing, you get a couple Tempests, but even then, carriers are good enough. Yeah, and the Tempests are brittle, and they are expensive, they are very high in supply, and they don't do as much damage as carriers do, so there's pretty much no point. But anyway, we're talking about that Adept style. I don't like it nearly as much as I used to, strictly because the Zerg approach to dealing with this this style the Stargate style at this point is not build more drones and, well, I would agree with the Protoss player. It's I'm gonna go up to 55 Orcas, I'm gonna walk Queens across the map, and I'm gonna kill you with Roach Queen. At which point, Mass Adepts doesn't really do anything. So with that being said, we do of course have a Robo on the way here. Probably a Stargate after that. That's what ZOUN did in the previous series. I think in 2 of the 3 games, maybe all 3 of the games. I don't remember a meta where it was only Tempests. I mean, I guess that there was a time when, yeah, I guess, okay. Yeah, that was a while ago, G's Korean guy. that was a meta I've pretty much forgotten about. But anyway, yeah, so these Adepts will continue to get on and get some damage done. Or, the Adepts did continue to get some damage done, and hey, the Adept on the 3rd base did go down as well. But with the Void right here, I mean, whatever. Oh, hey, though, these Zerglings are being rather annoying. They will get a probe. So let's see, it's been 6 workers for 1. Hey, actually, DRG taking 6 worker damage is not what he wants. And look at this, ZOUN, it's only 1 Stargate. He's immediately, and I mean immediately, going on into that Robo Bay. And this is going to be so good against whatever it is that DRG does decide to do. Now, he's continuing to drone here, and he is getting his Evo, so this is not going to be a queen walk. But what it will be is any sort of tech that DRG does go for on the ground side of things. Disruptors are pretty good. Maybe not Zerglings, but it's fantastic against Banelings. It's fantastic against Hydras. It's fantastic against Roaches and Ravagers and Queens and Lions and Tigers and Bears even. Now, of course, the one exception to no one gets carriers anymore, or no one gets Tempest anymore, is there's some pretty cool proxy Void Ray into Tempest builds that Parting has used on occasion. Some Protoss players have used on occasion against Protoss players, or against Terrans. But here we are. Okay, I do like this, and this was the map that DRG. This was the matchup, the style that DRG played, where I thought he did look the best. We have a Spire on the way here for DRG, and it is one that will most likely not get scouted because it's outside of the 4th base. Now, we do have that second Stargate on the way, of course, but as long as this Spire timing is not scouted, this is going to be... Sorry, it was inside the natural, but still not scouted yet. As long as this is allowed to be undetected, DRG is going to be a very happy man. Because we saw what happened with the 16 meter switch last time. It dove on in, killed off almost all the Void Rays, knocked down a bunch of ground units, and away it went. So... that's what happened there. Is this stasis trap will not get anything done there. Oh, okay, it will. Huh. I thought that was going to die. Anyway, nice little bit of a eco hit there for DRG, as we do notice his income is going to pop back up for a second, get closer to ZOUN. But now Spire's on the way. +1 is, or Spire's done. +1 is on the way. We have enough for 12 mutas, 13 mutas, and we're probably going to see. Well, do we have a larva? Okay, 19 larva. Not exactly sure why DRG is waiting to pop the mutas, but he will have what he needs, and there we go. The Spire will be scouted now. So does he just go straight into Corruptors here? Nope, 15 meters. Okay. Man, imagine how much better this would be though if the Spire, if the mutas were done now instead of just getting started. But anyway, +1 is on the way. We have a Fleet Beacon on the way. We will most likely see some Phoenix on the way as well. And charge on the way as well. So this feels like ZOUN is kind of being hit by the double blind here, where he's like, I scouted your Stargate. Therefore, you're not going to go mutas. That wouldn't make any sense. I've scouted it. You know I'm going to counter it. So what do? I just don't counter it because you're not going to counter it. And, oh, that's going to be fantastic. Jeez. But anyway, oh, the Queens are walking too, huh? Is this like a Queenling muta all in? But anyway, we do have Corruptors on the way, so... eventually, I mean, there will be Corruptors to deal with this, but, I mean, let's see, we're at 16 mutas, and we will soon have, like, 12 Corruptors, I think. Oh, is he going to get it? Oh, barely not. ZOUN, he tried, but not quite going to have the timing there. And I'm really surprised to not see any sort of aggression coming on in here from DRG. He's just he's building a big army. It's building a Skytoss army, but I feel like you want to get some damage done with this. You don't want to just kind of sit here and let your opponent build up, because eventually, if you're not constantly trading, I don't feel like this is all that good. That being said, I mean, this army is getting big. It's 16 Corruptors, 16 mutas, 12 or 11 Corruptors, soon to be 17 Corruptors. And yeah, no Phoenix from ZOUN yet, so I don't know. Have you seen these Phoenix? But anyway, we will have the fight coming on in here. Disruptor Shot's going to go off on top of all of these Queens, so 3 of them will go on down, but the mutas, they fight everything incredibly well here. Yes, it does look like at the end of the day we will have the air army of the Zerg prevail against the air army of the Protoss. And well, I mean, the supplies are equal. But now we have mutas on the way, of course. As a bunch of Chardlots will find their way, Zealots and Adepts will find their way across the map here. And there's just not a lot. Do we even have a Baneling nest? Yeah, we don't. It's just pure Zergling, and the mutas will be forced back here to deal with this, and that's a bit annoying. So Zealots, I mean, yeah, they're going to go into multiple spots here. So this is a really good move here from ZOUN. Yeah, you might say, okay, you're sacrificing a bunch of Zealots. That's a lot of supply to sacrifice. But it does give him time to actually make a good air army that can fight this. Because it was just Void Rays against Corruptor Muta, and that's not a thing. So now we have Corruptor Muta is going to find its way across the map here. And this 4th base will not be allowed to get up. These are +2 Zerglings. They will get on top of there. We will see the Corruptors. They're gonna not even going to try to piss that down, as it's not going to work, not going to be worthwhile here. Now the Disruptor shots are going to be somewhat decent. Zerglings getting on top of them, of course, but now the Mutas are going to get on top of the Void Rays, and the Phoenix, and the Corruptors on top of the Phoenix. So this army is just getting slapped down. It feels like, I don't know, like Joan just is not really comfortable with dealing with this style. We talked about this a bit earlier, where we were talking about how DRG plays a pretty anachronistic style in ZVP. And he doesn't, or in ZVT, and it doesn't really work out in the other two matchups, playing that somewhat older style. But I feel like now, this is something, again, that Raynor first started doing, I feel like with this Muta Corruptor style that he has started playing here, I feel like this is something that really does fit with his old school sensibilities and really deals with the Stargate style that Pro players have been going for very well. Because yes, there is a third Stargate done now. There are 3 Phoenix at a time, +2 is just about done here. But I mean, look at the supply at this point. It is 38 supply to 94. 20 Mutas and 10 Corruptors against 6 Phoenix. And yeah, the Phoenix can theoretically kite in perpetuity, but you need perfect micro for that. And I mean, eventually they get trapped against a wall. So now the Zerglings are going to run on in here. And well, actually, we should see this. We should see the Cybercore get depowered, so +2 doesn't get done. But I mean, we're just starting to hit the snowball point here. As ZOUN, he is not quite willing to admit the fact that this game is over, but there we have it. GG. DRG. He's going to take game number 1. Spawning in the bottom right in the blue. His back against the wall here. Looking to make his home team proud. For Alpha X, ZOUN. And his opponent in the bottom left in the red, representing Team NV 1 game from advancing on into the round of 8. He is DRG. Also, let me know if this is the proper. I feel like this is the proper orientation for the bar at the bottom. It always, when we have these bottom left, bottom right bases, always feels weird to try to figure out which one should go where. What makes sense for your eyes as you're watching. But anyway, we do have well, we don't see anything quite yet here. I'm really interested to see what ZOUN has planned for this map, because I mean, actually, yeah, let's stop watching the probes for a minute. So let's talk about this base. This is a massive, or this map. This is a massively wide open third base. And yeah, is this a bit of a choked off position? Sure. So maybe if you can intercept the Zerg, but that's still this area is still very wide. And even then, the Zerg player will tend to come around from this side maybe, and not even from the front. So what you're hoping to do is you hope the Zerg goes through the slow zones, and maybe you can take the fight there, but otherwise, that's going to be a very difficult hold on your third base. So maybe what you do is you say, okay, well, if that's going to be the case, I'm going to take the triangular herd, because yes, it's wide open, but there's a little bit of doodad maybe I can fight around, and it's closer to the slow zone. So maybe I can make that work for me. But that being said, it's going to be very difficult for ZOUN to take his third base with any sort of alacrity, with any sort of stability here in this game. So maybe he goes for something all in. Maybe he goes for an adept timing. Maybe he goes for something a bit weird. Maybe he goes for like a Blink Stalker build, which, I mean, let's be real. We haven't seen that one in a while. I don't know. But of course, this is Warp Gate first. We don't see a Stargate on the way. And is that going to be a Robo Probe it? Oh. That is very much Warp Gate into Stargate. That is. I feel like generally with Warp Gate into Stargate from the trap build, there's not that big of a gap. It is Warp Gate and very quickly Stargate, just because of when you take your gas. So Stargate is on the way here. So, we have an Oracle on the way, off of a Warp Gate first. I'm stuck in this mental paradigm of, yeah, I don't think ZOUN takes a third base this game, or at least he takes it very late. But I mean, it's Oracle into Void Ray, and the Oracle's going to move across the map here. And there's a lot. It's the air distance is rather short, so if you avoid the slow zones, maybe you can get something done there, and maybe hope that your opponent is not expecting an Oracle to fly on in because, well, it was Warp Gate first. So now this Oracle will show its head, and the Queens will here keep firing, but there's no Spore in this mineral line just yet. So ZOUN actually going to get a fairly decent amount of damage here. Three drones will die immediately. But I mean, their Queen's in position now. So it's one of those things, yeah, you get as much as you can when you first fly in, and after that, you're not going to get... Oh, is it going to go... Good. We're back. Fantastic. Sorry about that, folks. But we're back now. Okay, so Roachborn is on the way at 440. This is looking like we may see a Queen Walk build. There we go. Second Stargate is on the way. Huh. This is just the pure trap build. And I wonder whether this is going to be enough to keep ZOUN safe on 3 bases. Because realistically, I mean, this is a rather... It is a rather wide open 3rd base. That being said, though, okay, so we have an Evo chamber on the way. So maybe it's not going to be a Queen Walk. Actually, with how many Queens do we have? We have only 6 Queens. And no more are in production. So, yeah, no, this is not going to be Queen Walk. This is going to be something maybe a little bit more standard here. I mean, I guess maybe it could be a Nidus. But that's going to be a late Nidus. So it looks like ZOUN will be allowed to get away with taking a 3rd base on this map. And maybe... Yeah, I do apologize, people. For some reason, my connection to Trovo dropped for like half a second. So I was able to reconnect really quickly, but yeah. So, there's that. And yeah, it's just DRG. He's going to play the same style again. He's going to say, okay, well, it worked in Game 1. It worked in Game 3 of the previous series. I don't think you can beat this yet, ZOUN. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do it again. So Spire is on the way. We have +1 melee on the way here. Void Rays, they're going to shark around, try to get as much damage as they can. And what I'm also curious to find out is where DRG takes his 4th base. There were like 3 out. Okay, he's going to take the gold. Okay, no surprise there, I guess. I'm thinking, you can take the triangular 4th and get a little bit closer, but whatever. You can take the gold and then maybe be vulnerable to a depth shading down the mineral line. Or you can take the linear 4th and just be far away, but no. Now, every time I've seen a Zerg player, really anyone play this map, when they take their 4th, it is at the gold base. So... I don't know, maybe I'm putting a little bit too much thought into this. The Zerglings will find the 3rd base to say, okay, well, there's a 3rd. Static defense is there, whatever. Now, this map is actually going to be rather good for the style that DRG has opted to play in the previous series and in this one. Strictly because of the amount of dead airspace there is on this map. And yeah, some of the dead airspace is not true dead airspace. If we look at the 6 o'clock position there where there's that one base, it acts like dead airspace because there are rocks protecting it from the outside. But, well, it's technically not. You can drop Stalkers there, for example. But we have Archons on the way, and is ZOUN is gearing up. Does he have charge? ZOUN is gearing up for a massive Charge Lot Archon attack. And that is actually going to do a really good job of curtailing this meta push that DRG wants to go for, because a Charge Lot Archon, well, this army that ZOUN has opted to go for, the mutas can't fight it. Now, eventually they may be hit if you could magic box. Actually, you know what? Okay, now with the Void Rays here, it's not really going to worthwhile. Meanwhile, we have a run by trying to find its way on into the natural. We'll knock off 1 queen rather quickly. And for the moment, ZOUN does have a fairly nice army. So if the queens are going to go forward, they're just going to get targeted down. And these Void Rays are scary, right? You need something. You need some amount of anti-air to deal with these Void Rays. Otherwise, all the roaches will go on down. Now, the run by was not successful. And we will have DRG. He's going to, well, kite himself back on into the spores. And 1 Archon does go down. So if he can knock down these Archons, the Muta switch is going to be rather powerful, as the Archons are starting to take significant damage here. More and more roaches are on the way. 2nd Archon does go down, but we still have 3 here. And it looks like DRG, he's slowly cutting this out. He is, of course, very, very afraid of the Void. And this Oracle is just trying to kill the Spire. Okay. That's a bit interesting. But now DRG will... Oh, this is a problem. DRG is going to find the Roach Horn. And that does mean no more roaches here. That does mean that he has to be... Well, I guess he just builds mutas from this point, muta queen, and if he can knock down the Archons, maybe he has a chance here, but no, it does look like ZOUN, he says, okay, well, if you're going to try to go for a Stargate, well, I'm not going to let that happen. So Zerglings are on the way, and yeah, you have Zergling upgrades, but Zerglings against Charge Lot Archon, good luck. All right, that's not going to work out very well whatsoever. As DRG, he is against the ropes here. It's not going to be enough. GG. ZOUN is going to take game 2, and Spawning in the bottom left in the blue, he is representing Alpha X, looking to climb his way back up from the jaws of defeat to victory to find himself into the round of 8. He is the blue Protoss player, ZOUN. And his opponent in the upper right in the red. Well, the great player from Team NV. He is the Zerg DRG. And what will we see here from DRG in this game number 3? I think the onus is on him to change up his style at this point. He played the same style 3 games in a row. It worked twice and then it didn't, as ZOUN was able to successfully identify things and just hit with a timing that absolutely annihilated DRG's hopes of winning the final series 2-0. So now here we are. Thank you, Mattis. That's something I've worked on with Sunlily that we got working. It's like 4 different programs running together to make it all work. But you gotta have a program that allows VLC to pick up next and a bunch of other stuff. But it's pretty cool. Now I just need to commit if you're trying to do something similar. They're called idents, I think. No, they're called what are they called? It's a specific type of music that are just there's intro music. Yes. No, this is fake BeoMulf. No, it's not media. It's a style of music, not necessarily the audio format. It's not an ident. It's not a promo. I forget what it is. I have the license, so I can go check after this game actually. But anyway, from this point, yeah, ZOUN, he is absolutely swapping stuff up as well. It will be a Twilight Council here. For the first time in this entire day, ZOUN, he's going something that is not Stargate, which is pretty cool. It is refreshing, and it does make sense, because Oxide is a very queen pushable map, so you're not going to want to do it. Yeah, so Renegade, you hear the music that I play when I go on in. That intro music, right, that 3, 4, 5 second burst of something that ends itself up really nicely. I forget what it's called. It's oh, it's gonna bug me. I'll figure it out later. But yes, I am BeoMulf's twin brother, Mulf Beo. So, anyways, Zerglings will find their way on in, and they will say, okay, well they're not gonna see a whole lot actually. This is not quite at the timing where you're gonna get a really good scout, and I don't believe that DRG has found his way on into the main base, but. Actually, yeah, okay, so we have the Adept and the Stalker there, so the Overlord is going to be seen. Now, of course, that's a kind of opposite of what you want. You want the Adept on the high ground and the Stalker on the low ground so you can kill it off. But anyway, now Adepts are getting warped on in, and really the amount of Adepts here should tell DRG what's happening. But look at this. We have a third base on the way, so, I mean, granted, this is only 4-gate Adept. No, this is 3-gate. This is really cool. I am sorry. I was thinking this is the wrong thing. So, we have a Robo on the way just now. Alright, generally. Alright, so Glaives finishes at 4:30. Generally, we would see ZOUN moving out on the map. But he's not. He has a Forge on the way. He has a Robo on the way. He only got 3 gateways. He has a third base on at a normal timing. This is such a cool fake out that will be coming on in here from ZOUN. Now, the question, though, is whether DRG will see that it is a fake out or whether he will overcommit. And that is what DRG is, or ZOUN is looking for. He's looking for the overcommittal, because DRG absolutely does have to commit to this in some way, shape, or form. Zerglings are not good against this. So 60 more Zerglings on the way. I thought he had a Roachborn. He does, but he says, okay, I can't really do that right yet. And now we're going to start to see some workers go down. As, well, 4 Adepts will find their way on into the natural. And this is already getting more damage done than the majority of the actual 4-gate Adept builds go on in. So 7 workers die. Behind this, ZOUN has a third base. Behind this, he is getting up into his stack. He has +1 on the way. He has Immortals on the way. He is getting the best of both worlds. Yeah, the intro riff, but that's not like the technical term for it. Like, if you go and you look it up on like a music hosting platform, it's going to be a very specific thing, and it's not an intro riff. Actually, Googling stuff doesn't really, Googling an intro riff doesn't really help you that much. I spent a lot of time finding those couple, it may just be an ident. I spent a lot of time trying to find that one. But anyway, here, DRG, he's adding a bunch of workers. But for the moment here, ZOUN is even on worker supply. So that's always going to be very nice there for the Protoss player. He has his third base on time. He has a bunch of gateways on the way. He's adding Blink here. Huh, we're going to see a Blink Stalker Immortal timing off of this, as we do have a, there we go, Warp Prism on the way. It's not going to be in time for Blink. But +1 is just about halfway done. We have a lot of sentries on the way. I think we're going to see kind of an Immortal Sentry Blink Stalker +1 timing. Move out on the map here. Try to punish DRG for maybe droning a little bit too hard after that. As DRG does have his fourth base on the way here. And for the moment here, ZOUN, he's just posturing. He says, okay, well, I want to knock down some of this creep. That's what I'm worried about right now. We're going to get on into what I'm going to do with it, with everything else just a little bit later. Now, a lot of Stalkers are getting warped on in. And that is, of course, scary. But Blink is just still about halfway done. So this push, it's not going to have really the full meat and potatoes of it for quite a while. So it's going to be a Adept. Okay, that makes sense. Adepts are going to be warped on in first. And then once Blink is done, once +1 is done, it's going to morph on over to Stalker Tech. So we have a decent army here from DRG, but it's not a supply lead quite yet. And we're going to have to see some big force fields. Now, first battles we're going down. Force fields not really getting a whole lot, but these are going to be fantastic. We're going to see 2 queens shaved away in the blink of an eye here. And, well, it's just really hard for DRG to really take this fight. Now, he does have a decent economy, 64 workers, as a couple of those are starting to get targeted down just a little bit. And he does have a 12 army supply lead. I'm not sure that's enough to really justify a significant hold quite yet. But, of course, every time these battles do go on down, that is damage that DRG has that his opponent is not really inflicting at the moment because, well, of course, ZOUN is forced to micro. But now Blink is done. And the power of this army just increased exponentially, as now ZOUN, he's able to keep his army alive that much better. But DRG, his supply is growing just a little bit. We're going to see some biles go on down on top of the Warp Prism. Warp Prism is going to go on down here, but is there enough for ZOUN to break the back of DRG here? It looks like it actually is, as the army supplies, they're equalizing here. They're doing what they can, but the Immortal is going to get targeted down before the rest of the army does die, I think. And from there, Pure Zergling should be able to carry... Actually, no, not with the Adepts. Pure Zergling may not be able to carry the day here, as more Roach, more Ling is on the way. The third base will go on down, as DRG has lost a lot of workers. 13 workers have died in the exchange. He is down half the army supply of his opponent. He committed hard to knock down that Warp Prism, to knock down that Immortal, but I think at the end of the day, that was maybe a little bit of an overcommitment. And now ZOUN, showing a build that I have never seen, by the way, is going to take game number 3, is going to take the series, is going to qualify to the round of 8.